Turns out, your mother randomly reconnecting with old college friends on Facebook can either be wholesome nostalgia, or it can blow up your entire marriage and reveal your husband's secret identity like some twisted episode of Catfish meets Jerry Springer. Yeah, that's how I found out my husband wasn't just cheating. He was living a whole separate life with a different name, a different family, and apparently zero conscience about any of it. I'm Mabel, 32 years old, graphic designer for a marketing firm in Charlotte, North Carolina, and up until last Tuesday night, I genuinely believed I had a pretty solid marriage. Sure, Heath traveled a lot for work. He's a sales representative for a medical equipment company covering the Western North Carolina territory, which meant constant trips to hospitals in Asheville, Boone, and Hendersonville. The travel was just part of the package. I'd gotten used to him being gone 2 weeks out of every month since we got married 9 years ago. 9 years. Let that sink in for a second, because it's about to get so much worse. My mom, Lorraine, is the quintessential Southern woman. She's got that steel magnolia energy, perfectly polite, always composed, solves every conflict with sweet tea and a bless your heart that could either mean genuine sympathy or a thinly veiled insult depending on context. She's the kind of woman who irons her jeans and color coordinates her refrigerator magnets. She doesn't do hysteria. She doesn't do emotional breakdowns. So when my phone rang at 8:47 on a random Tuesday evening and I heard her sobbing so hard she could barely breathe, my first thought was that somebody died. Mom, what happened? Are you okay? Is it Grandma? She could barely get words out between the gasping sobs. Mabel, I just left Asheville. I'm in the car. I need you to be ready when I get there. I'll explain everything, but you need to— Oh God, honey, I'm so sorry. My stomach dropped. What's wrong? What happened? Just be ready. I'll be there in 2 hours. She hung up. I stood there holding my phone, completely panicked. Heath looked up from SportsCenter on the TV, highlights playing in the background. What's going on? I don't know. My mom's losing it about something. She's driving here from Asheville right now. 2 hours later, at 10:52 p.m., her headlights flooded my driveway. She practically ran to the front door, mascara streaking down her face, clutching her phone like it was evidence in a murder trial. She'd had to pull over twice during the drive to collect herself. You don't drive 2 hours through mountain roads while crying. But by the time she reached Charlotte, the shock had turned to cold, calculated fury. She blew past me, marched straight into the living room where Heath was sitting, and slammed her phone down on the coffee table with a crack that made both of us jump. On the screen was a photo. A family photo. A woman, probably in her early 30s, with long auburn hair, smiling at the camera. Next to her, a little boy, maybe 8 years old, with a gap-toothed grin and a Batman t-shirt. And there, with his arm wrapped around both of them, beaming like the proud family man he apparently was. My husband, Heath. Except the photo was tagged with a different name underneath. Ethan Marshall and family at Dollywood, summer fun. I stared at the screen. My brain couldn't process it. That was definitely Heath. Same face, same slightly crooked smile, same navy blue polo shirt I'd bought him for Father's Day 2 years ago. Wait, we don't have kids. Why did I buy him a Father's Day shirt? Explain this. My mom's voice was shaking, but it had that dangerous edge to it. That tone she used to use when I was 16 and came home past curfew. Explain this right now, Heath. Or Ethan. Or whoever the heck you actually are. Heath's face went from confused to pale to absolutely ghost white in about 3 seconds flat. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. No sound came out. That's not— I can explain. Oh, you better explain. My mom was practically vibrating with rage. Because I just spent the afternoon at Paulina's house in Asheville. You remember Paulina, Mabel? My friend from University of Georgia? We reconnected on Facebook last month after not seeing each other since 1998? And I walk into her living room and see this. She jabbed a finger at the phone screen. This photo, on her mantle. And I say, Paulina, who's this nice-looking family? And she says, oh, that's my daughter Tegan, my grandson Camden, and Tegan's boyfriend Ethan. They've been together for 9 years. Isn't he wonderful? The room went completely silent except for the SportsCenter commentary in the background. Someone had scored a game-winning goal. The announcer cheered. It felt obscene. 9 years, I repeated slowly, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. We've been married for 9 years. Heath, or Ethan, or whoever he actually was, looked like he was going to be sick. Mabel, I can explain. It's not what it looks like. Not what it looks like. My mom's southern composure finally shattered completely. There is a child in that photo. A child who thinks you're his father. There is a woman who thinks you're her boyfriend. There is a life you've been living that has nothing to do with your actual wife. I sat down on the arm of the couch because my legs stopped working. Who's Tegan? She's Paulina's daughter, he whispered, staring at the floor. I met her at a medical equipment conference in Asheville 9.5 years ago. Before I met you, we started dating. But then I met you at that wedding in Charleston. And I fell in love with you. But I couldn't. I didn't know how to end things with Tegan. She was already talking about the future, and then she told me she was pregnant, and… Wait. The math suddenly clicked into place in my head with sickening clarity. Camden. That little boy. How old is he? Heath's silence was answer enough. How old is he? My voice didn't sound like mine anymore. 8. He just turned 8 in March. March. Our first wedding anniversary was in March. So let me get this straight, I said, and I was surprised by how calm I sounded. Like I was discussing a project deadline at work instead of the complete implosion of my reality. You got Tegan pregnant right around the time we got married. You've been living a double life for our entire marriage. You've been going to Asheville twice a month, not just for work, but to play house with your other family. You gave them a fake name. You've been lying to literally everyone in your life for 9 years. I use my middle name, he muttered, like that somehow made it better. Ethan's my middle name. Marshall is my mom's maiden name. It's not like I completely made someone up. Oh, well, that makes it fine then. I laughed, and it came out slightly unhinged. It's not complete identity fraud, just partial identity fraud. That's so much better. My mom pulled out her phone again. I took screenshots of everything. Tegan's Facebook profile is public because she sells handmade jewelry online and lists her home address for local pickup. I saved everything. Every post about date nights with Ethan. Every photo of Camden's birthday parties. Every anniversary post. By the way, she thinks they've been together for 9 years too. She has no idea you're married. She thinks you're a divorced dad who lives in Atlanta during the week for work. Heath put his head in his hands. I'm so sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen. Oh, you never meant for it to happen? I stood up and I was shaking now. You accidentally maintained 2 completely separate lives for 9 years. You accidentally fathered a child with another woman. You accidentally lied to me every single day of our marriage. That was all just… Oops, my bad? What do you want me to say? He looked up at me, and the audacity of him looking wounded right now was almost impressive. I made mistakes. I messed up. But I love you. I've always loved you. You love me, I repeated flatly. You love me so much that you've been spending half your life pretending to be someone else so you could have a backup family in case this one didn't work out? It's not like that. Then what is it like, Heath? Or Ethan? Help me understand, because right now, I'm trying to figure out which parts of our entire relationship were even real. He didn't have an answer for that. Shocking. My mom grabbed my hand. Mabel, honey, pack a bag. You're staying with me tonight. No. I pulled my hand away gently. No, he's leaving. This is my house. My house that I helped pay for with my salary while he was apparently financing a whole second household in Asheville. I looked at Heath with a calmness I didn't feel. Get out. Mabel, please. Can we just talk about this? Get out. He left. Actually, he practically ran out of there, grabbed his keys, and peeled out of the driveway like the house was on fire. After he was gone, I sat on the couch with my mom in complete silence for what felt like hours, but was probably only 10 minutes. SportsCenter was still playing. Someone had broken a record. Life just kept going, apparently, even when your entire world was a lie. So, I finally said, my voice eerily calm. My husband has a secret second family. His girlfriend thinks he's a divorced guy named Ethan Marshall who lives in Atlanta. Her mother is your old college friend. And I found all this out because you randomly decided to reconnect with people from 1998 on Facebook. Yes, my mom said quietly. This is insane. Yes. Like, truly, genuinely, completely insane. Yes. I picked up my mom's phone and looked at the photo again. Really looked at it. Camden had Heath's eyes. Same exact shade of blue-gray. Same slightly lopsided smile. That kid was definitely his son. Tegan was pretty, girl next door pretty, with freckles and that effortless smile people have when they think their life is going exactly the way it should. Neither of them had any idea that Ethan was married to someone else, that their entire relationship was built on a lie so big and so elaborate that it probably required spreadsheets to maintain. And suddenly, sitting there in my living room at midnight on a random Tuesday, looking at photographic evidence of my husband's secret life, I felt something unexpected wash over me. Not sadness, not devastation, not even rage. Clarity. Mom, I said slowly, a plan already forming in my mind. I'm going to need you to give me Tegan's address. My mom stayed over that night. We didn't sleep. Instead, we did what any two Southern women with a vendetta and Wi-Fi would do. We went full FBI-level investigative mode. Tegan's Facebook profile was a gold mine. Not just a gold mine. It was like she'd been documenting Heath's double life as a public service for future divorce attorneys. Every post was set to public because she ran her jewelry business through social media. Smart business move. Terrible operational security for a man living a lie. I scrolled through 9 years of posts while my mom made coffee at 2 a.m. Date night with my love, with a photo of Ethan, at some trendy Asheville restaurant. Camden's first day of kindergarten, so proud of my boys, with Heath holding Camden's hand outside of Isaac Dixon Elementary School. Celebrating 6 years together at our favorite spot, Grove Park Inn, with the two of them looking disgustingly happy in front of Asheville's most romantic hotel. 6 years. They celebrated their 6-year anniversary at a luxury resort, while Heath and I celebrated our 6-year anniversary at, God, I couldn't even remember. Probably Olive Garden. Because apparently I was the backup wife who got the Tuesday night unlimited breadsticks version of my own husband. Look at this one, my mom said, pointing at a post from 4 months ago. Family weekend at Grandfather Mountain. Ethan finally conquered his fear of the mile-high swinging bridge. I stared at the photo. Heath, looking terrified but proud, on that famous suspension bridge with Tegan and Camden. Meanwhile, 4 months ago, Heath had told me he was at a medical equipment conference in Nashville and was too busy with client dinners to FaceTime. He was afraid of heights, I said quietly. He told me that on our 3rd date. We went hiking at Crowder's Mountain, and he couldn't do the final summit because of the exposed rock face. I looked at my mom. He conquered his fear of heights with her. For her, kid. Oh, honey. No, it's fine. I laughed, and it sounded slightly manic even to my own ears. It's fine. I'm the wife he was legally obligated to tolerate. She's the girlfriend he actually wanted to impress. That's totally fine. I'm fine. I wasn't fine. I kept scrolling. Camden's baseball games with Ethan cheering from the stands. Halloween photos where Heath dressed up as a vampire 3 years in a row. Meanwhile, he'd told me he didn't do Halloween and stayed home watching football while I handed out candy alone. Christmas mornings with presents under a tree in what was clearly Tegan's house, a cozy craftsman-style place with exposed brick and those trendy Edison bulb string lights. Wait. I zoomed in on one of the Christmas photos, specifically on a wooden jewelry box sitting on the mantel in the background. Hand-carved, with intricate Celtic knotwork on the lid. Mom, look at this. I showed her the photo, then pulled up my own camera roll and found a picture from 2 Christmases ago. There was Heath, sitting in our living room in Charlotte, holding up the exact same jewelry box. The one he'd given me for Christmas. The one he said he'd found at a craft fair in Raleigh. He gave you both the same gift, my mom said slowly. He literally bought 2 of the same jewelry boxes and gave one to each of you. Efficient, I said brightly, my voice cracking just a little. Why waste time being thoughtful for two separate women when you can just buy in bulk? It's like Costco, but for emotional fraud. My mom squeezed my hand. We kept digging. By 4 a.m., we had a comprehensive dossier that would make the NSA jealous. Tegan worked from home making custom jewelry, mostly wire-wrapped gemstone pendants and personalized name necklaces. She posted her address right on her business page for local pickups, 47 Westwood Place, Asheville, NC 28801. She was a single mom, or so she thought, who split expenses with her boyfriend Ethan, who she believed traveled weekly to Atlanta for his demanding sales job and could only visit on weekends and occasional weekdays. She posted about their future plans, buying a house together, they were currently saving for a down payment, maybe having another baby, possibly getting married once Ethan's divorce was fully finalized and his ex-wife stopped being difficult about the settlement. I was apparently the difficult ex-wife, in a divorce that didn't exist, from a marriage she didn't know about. I need to talk to her, I said as the sun started coming up Wednesday morning. Absolutely not. My mom's voice was firm. You need to talk to a lawyer first. Document everything. Get your ducks in a row. You can't just... Mom? She has no idea. She thinks she's in a committed relationship with a divorced dad who loves her. She has a child with this man. She deserves to know that her entire life is built on a lie just as much as mine was. And what if she doesn't believe you? What if she thinks you're the crazy ex-wife he warned her about? I held up the phone with approximately 847 screenshots saved. Then I show her the evidence. By Wednesday afternoon, I'd called in sick to work. My boss, Karen, took one look at my text. Family emergency. Need the rest of the week. And immediately replied, take all the time you need. Made an appointment with the most ruthless divorce attorney in Charlotte. Her name was Vivian. She had a 94% success rate. And her Yelp reviews included phrases like, destroyed my ex in court, which seemed promising, and had my mom drive me the 2 hours to Asheville. We pulled up to 47 Westwood Place at 3:47 p.m. on Wednesday. It was exactly the kind of house I'd expected from Tegan's posts. A charming bungalow with a purple front door, flower boxes in the windows, and a hand-painted sign that said the Marshall House hanging on the porch. The Marshall House. She'd named their home after his fake identity. I almost turned around right there. This felt cruel. But then I remembered. She wasn't the villain here. She was the other victim. And she deserved the truth just like I did. I knocked on the purple door. Tegan answered after a moment, wiping her hands on a paint-stained apron. She looked exactly like her photos. Pretty in that effortless way, with her auburn hair in a messy bun and barely any makeup. She smiled politely, probably expecting a delivery or a customer picking up jewelry. Hi, can I help you? I took a deep breath. Hi, my name is Mabel. I'm married to Heath Anderson. You might know him as Ethan Marshall. The smile froze on her face. What? Can I come in? I think we need to talk. My mom's in the car if you want a witness or chaperone or whatever makes you comfortable, but I promise I'm not here to cause a scene. I think we've both been lied to, and we deserve to know the truth. She stood there for a long moment, processing. Then, slowly, she stepped back and opened the door wider. Okay, she said quietly. Come in. Tegan's living room was exactly what I'd seen in the background of 100 Facebook photos. Cozy, warm, the kind of space that screamed, happy family lives here. There were framed photos everywhere. Camden's school pictures progressing year by year on the wall, candid shots of Ethan and Tegan laughing together, a painting of the three of them that looked professionally done. My mom waited in the car like we'd agreed. This conversation needed to happen between the two women who'd been played, not become a circus. Tegan sat on the edge of her couch, hands clasped in her lap, looking like someone who'd just been told the world was ending. Which, in a way, she had. I don't understand, she said quietly. Ethan is divorced. He told me his ex-wife lived in Atlanta, that they split up before he and I even met. He's not divorced, I said, keeping my voice gentle but firm. We're married. We got married 9 years ago in March. I have the marriage certificate. I have joint tax returns. I have a mortgage with his name on it in Charlotte. I pulled out my phone and showed her photo after photo. Our wedding. Us at the beach last summer. Heath's driver's license. His real driver's license with his real name. Heath Matthew Anderson. Not Ethan Marshall. Tegan's hands were shaking as she scrolled through the photos. This doesn't make sense. We've been together for 9 years. Camden is 8. I was pregnant when we'd been dating for about 6 months. He was there for the birth. He's been here for birthdays, holidays, everything. How could he? Her voice broke. How could someone maintain this for 9 years? I've been asking myself the same question since last night, I said. My mom found out completely by accident. She reconnected with your mom, Paulina, on Facebook last month. They were college friends back in the 90s. She went to visit yesterday and saw a photo of you, Camden, and my husband on your mom's mantle. My mom, Tegan repeated, her face going pale. Oh, God. My mom doesn't know either. She thinks he's wonderful. She brags about him to her friends. How am I supposed to tell her that he doesn't even exist? We sat there in horrible silence for a moment. Can I ask you something? I said carefully. The name Marshall. Did he ever explain why he used his mom's maiden name? He said it was easier for business, Tegan said slowly, like she was hearing the lie in real time now. He said in sales, having a memorable name helps. And Marshall was more professional than Anderson. I didn't question it because, why would I? Who does that? Someone who's juggling 2 entire lives and needs to keep the stories straight, I said bitterly. Tegan stood up abruptly and walked to her desk in the corner. She pulled out a folder, the organized kind with labeled dividers, and brought it back. These are our financial records, for the house we're saving for. She opened it. Bank statements, savings account documentation, payment schedules. And that's when I saw it. Wait. I grabbed one of the statements. This account. This is a joint account with you and Ethan Marshall. Yeah. We opened it 3 years ago to save for a down payment. We're almost at 20% for a house in South Asheville. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. My joint account with Heath, our savings. The one we'd supposedly been contributing to for only the last 3 years. Heath had convinced me we needed to stabilize our finances first, before we could really start saving seriously. The deposit dates matched. Heath had been depositing money into Tegan's house fund on the 1st and 15th of every month, the exact same days he deposited money into our savings fund, but the amounts to Tegan's account were higher, way higher. How much do you have saved? I asked. About $47,000. Why? Our savings fund had $19,000. We'd been saving for 3 years, though Heath had made a few emergency withdrawals I'd agreed to for car repairs and roof maintenance. Apparently, those emergencies were Camden's baseball equipment and birthday parties. Just making sure I understand the financial scope of my husband's betrayal, I said, my voice eerily calm. He's been funding your house while telling me we couldn't afford to upgrade from our starter home in Charlotte because medical equipment sales is unpredictable income. Tegan looked at the statements again, her expression shifting from shock to something harder. He told me the same thing, that sales is unpredictable, that we had to be careful with money, but he still managed to put away $800 a month? Meanwhile, he was putting $300 a month in our account, I said, and I was matching it from my salary because I thought we were partners building a future. I laughed, and it came out sharp. Turns out I was just the financial backup plan. Tegan's jaw tightened. And I was what? The real investment? We looked at each other, and something shifted. This wasn't 2 women fighting over a man anymore. This was 2 women realizing they'd both been victims of the same con artist. We need to figure out what else he's been lying about, Tegan said suddenly. If he lied about his name, his marital status, and his finances, what else is buried? I pulled out my laptop. I have 9 years of joint tax returns, bank statements, credit card bills, and a very motivated divorce attorney who specializes in forensic accounting. I have 9 years of him claiming business expenses that probably don't exist, Tegan added, her voice getting stronger, and a mother who's going to be absolutely furious when she finds out her daughter and grandson were lied to. My mom is currently sitting in the car probably stress-eating the granola bars from my emergency kit, I said. Want to bring her in? Because I think we're going to need reinforcements. Tegan nodded. Yeah, let's do this. My mom nearly fell out of the car when I waved her inside. The look on her face when she saw me and Tegan sitting side by side at the dining table, laptops open, surrounded by paperwork, was priceless. Are you two? She looked between us, confused. Joining forces, I said simply. Turns out we're both victims of the same fraud, and we're going to take him down. Over the next several hours, stretching well past midnight, fueled by coffee, rage, and Paulina's homemade cookies after Tegan called her mom to come over immediately, the four of us went through everything. By Thursday morning at 6 a.m., exhausted but determined, we had a complete picture of Heath's fraud. Here's what we discovered. Heath's medical equipment sales job was real, but the company he worked for had strict policies about travel expenses. We found boxes of physical corporate card statements in Tegan's home office closet. Heath had shared the online banking passwords with her years ago for transparency, never imagining it would be used against him. He'd been careless, keeping printed statements there, probably thinking she'd never question his expenses. He'd been billing personal expenses as business costs for years. Dinners with Tegan logged as client meetings. Hotel rooms in Asheville listed as conference accommodations. Even Camden's birthday presents charged to the corporate account as promotional materials. This wasn't just infidelity. This was corporate fraud. If his company finds out about this, my mom said slowly, he'll be fired, probably prosecuted. If? Tegan's voice was cold. You mean when? I looked at her. You're sure about this? Once we report it, there's no going back. He'll lose everything. He should lose everything, Tegan said fiercely. He made me believe I had a partner, a co-parent, someone building a future with me and my son. And it was all fake. All of it. Camden thinks that man is his father, his real father who chose to be here. Not some liar who is playing house between shifts with his actual wife. Paulina put her hand on her daughter's shoulder. What do you need from us? I pulled out Vivian's business card. I need documentation of everything. Every lie, every financial discrepancy, every falsified expense report. My attorney is filing for separation, but we're also going to file fraud charges. Both of us. Both of us. Tegan looked at me. You were defrauded just as much as I was, I said. He claimed to be someone he wasn't. He claimed to be building a life with you while he was legally married to someone else. That's fraud, misrepresentation, and possibly identity theft, depending on how many documents he signed as Ethan Marshall. Tegan smiled for the first time since I'd arrived. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who'd just realized they had weapons. Let's destroy him, she said quietly. My mom raised her coffee mug. Amen to that. Thursday morning, I walked into Vivian's law office with Tegan, both our mothers, and approximately 400 pages of documentation that would make a forensic accountant weep with joy. Vivian looked at the evidence spread across her conference table and actually smiled. Not a polite professional smile. A predator-spotting prey smile. This is beautiful, she said, flipping through corporate card statements. This is the most clear-cut case of fraud I've seen in 15 years. He's done. How done are we talking? Tegan asked. Criminal charges done, restitution done, permanent record done, never working in medical sales again done. Vivian looked up at both of us. Are you both absolutely certain you want to pursue this fully? Because once I file these complaints, both the separation proceedings and the fraud reports, this becomes public record. His life as he knows it ends. I looked at Tegan. She looked at me. We'd discussed this during our all-night investigation as we compared notes on Heath's lies. Like the time he told me he was deathly allergic to shellfish, while simultaneously posting photos at Red Lobster with Tegan. Or when he gave us both the same excuse for missing our respective birthdays 2 years ago, emergency client meeting in Nashville, on the exact same day, which meant he'd actually just stayed home and avoided both of us. The man had commitment issues with his own lies. I'm certain, we said in unison. Vivian's smile widened. Then let's begin. Step 1 was the company. MedEquip Solutions, Heath's employer of 12 years, had a very clear corporate ethics policy that we'd downloaded from their website. Falsifying expense reports was grounds for immediate termination and potential prosecution. Using company resources for personal benefit was theft. Vivian drafted a formal complaint with every piece of evidence attached. Credit card statements showing personal expenses logged as business costs. Hotel reservations in Asheville that coincided with Ethan's weekends with Tegan, but were billed as conference attendance, even restaurant receipts from romantic dinners marked as client entertainment. We submitted it to their HR department and corporate compliance office on Thursday afternoon at 4:47 p.m. By Monday morning, Heath's panicked calls started. 17 calls to me, 12 to Tegan. We didn't answer. MedEquip had suspended him pending investigation. By the end of that week, he was terminated. The investigation took 6 business days. The evidence was that damning. On the following Monday, 11 days after we'd filed the complaint, Heath showed up at my house in Charlotte looking like he hadn't slept in a week, which, honestly, fair. I'd barely slept either, but I'd had righteous fury keeping me energized. He just looked like a man watching his entire world collapse. I opened the door but kept the security chain on. "What do you want, Heath?" "They fired me." His voice was hoarse. "MedEquip fired me. They're saying I defrauded the company, that I falsified expense reports. They're threatening criminal charges. Mabel, you have to help me. Tell them this is a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding?" I laughed. It echoed in the quiet suburban street. A neighbor watering her lawn pretended not to stare. "You committed corporate fraud for 9 years. You stole from your employer. That's not a misunderstanding. That's a crime. I didn't steal. You charged Camden's birthday presents to your corporate card and called them promotional materials. You billed romantic dinners with your girlfriend as client meetings. You booked hotel rooms for your secret family and claimed conference reimbursement. That's textbook embezzlement." His face went gray. Did you talk to Tegan?" "Oh, we did more than talk. We compared notes. We compiled evidence. We hired lawyers, plural. And we reported you. Both of us." "Both of you?" He looked like he might be sick. "Mabel, please. I know I messed up. Messed up is forgetting our anniversary. Messed up is leaving the toilet seat up. What you did requires planning, spreadsheets, a separate identity, a fake name. I can fix this." "No, you can't. Because Vivian already filed for legal separation on my behalf with a property settlement that gives me the house, and Tegan has filed a civil suit for fraud and misrepresentation. Also, fun fact, did you know that lying about your marital status to obtain money under false pretenses is actually illegal?" Tegan's attorney seems to think she has an excellent case. Heath leaned against the doorframe. "I'll lose everything." "Yes," I said calmly. "Yes, you will. And honestly, you deserve it." I closed the door, locked it, and watched through the window as he sat on my front porch steps with his head in his hands for 20 minutes before finally leaving. I didn't feel bad. Not even a little bit. The next several months were a whirlwind of legal proceedings, police reports, and the most satisfying series of dominoes falling I'd ever witnessed. MedEquip Solutions didn't just fire Heath. They filed criminal charges for embezzlement. The total amount he'd fraudulently claimed over 9 years? $83,000. Tegan and I had done the math together over coffee in Asheville, cross-referencing his corporate statements with date-stamped photos from Facebook. Every romantic dinner, every weekend getaway, every business trip that was actually him playing dad with Camden, all billed to his company. His corporate credit card spending had been so excessive in the last 2 years that the company's annual audit had already flagged his account. Our complaint just gave them the context they needed. The criminal case moved forward. Heath tried to negotiate, claiming he'd pay restitution, but the company wanted to make an example. You don't steal $83,000 and walk away with a reprimand. The separation proceedings were swift. Vivian filed immediately, securing the house in my name, freezing joint accounts, and starting the mandatory 1-year separation period required by North Carolina law. The divorce wouldn't be final for another 12 months, but the separation agreement gave me everything that mattered. North Carolina is an equitable distribution state, but when one party commits fraud during the marriage, the court tends to be significantly less generous. Vivian shredded him in the settlement negotiations. I got the house, my retirement savings, and half of everything else we'd accumulated. Heath got legal bills and a criminal record. Tegan's civil suit was equally devastating. Her attorney argued that Heath had obtained money and resources under fraudulent pretenses by claiming to be divorced, available, and building a future with her when he was actually married. The court agreed. Damages awarded, $65,000, more than the house down payment they'd been saving for. Heath couldn't pay it. The court ordered wage garnishment. Except Heath no longer had wages to garnish because, the felony charges. He ended up moving to Greensboro, not quite far enough from either Charlotte or Asheville to escape his reputation, but cheap enough that he could afford rent working at a cell phone store in a strip mall. His LinkedIn profile, which Tegan had never been able to find during their relationship because Heath claimed he didn't believe in mixing personal and professional online and kept it locked down, now publicly showed his disgrace. The profile simply reading, "Seeking Opportunities," where it used to boast about his award-winning sales career. The professional consequences spread fast. Medical equipment sales is a surprisingly small industry. Word traveled. Heath Anderson/Ethan Marshall became a cautionary tale at sales conferences. Don't be that guy memes with his LinkedIn photo circulated in industry groups. His professional reputation didn't just die, it was publicly cremated. But here's the twist I didn't see coming. 8 months after everything exploded, I got a text from Tegan with a voice message attached. Camden's little voice came through the speaker. "Hi, Mabel. My mom says you're my other mom now. Can you come to my birthday party next month? I'm gonna be 9. Tegan followed up immediately. He insisted I send that. "Birthday's in 4 weeks. Can we grab coffee before then? I have news." We met at a coffee shop halfway between Charlotte and Asheville the following week. Tegan looked lighter somehow. Happier. "So," she said, sliding a business card across the table. "Remember how I was saving for a house?" I looked at the card. "You bought a house?" "With the settlement money from the lawsuit. A beautiful craftsman in South Asheville. 3 bedrooms, big yard, room for Camden to have friends over. Purple front door." She grinned. "I kept the purple door. It's my thing, not his." "That's amazing. And remember that jewelry business I run from home? It's exploding. Apparently, empowerment jewelry sells really well when you market it as made by a woman who survived fraud and came out on top. My revenue tripled." I laughed. "That's incredible. Your turn. What's new?" "Got promoted," I said. "Senior designer. Karen said my work improved dramatically once I stopped being distracted by personal issues. Apparently, not having a lying husband siphoning your emotional energy makes you better at your job." "Who knew?" "Who knew?" Tegan echoed, smiling. We sat there, 2 women who'd been betrayed by the same man, who'd become unlikely friends through shared trauma and mutual revenge. "Hey," Tegan said after a moment. "Camden's birthday is in 4 weeks. He's turning 9. Would you want to come? He keeps asking about you, calls you my other mom who helped Mom. It's weirdly sweet." "I'd love that," I said honestly. And just like that, the story came full circle. The man who'd tried to keep 2 separate families ended up creating one blended family that specifically excluded him. Poetic justice at its finest. I went to Camden's 9th birthday party. It was held at Tegan's new house, the one with the purple door that she'd bought with the settlement money from suing my ex-husband for fraud. If you'd told me a year ago that I'd be attending a birthday party for my husband's secret son with his secret girlfriend turned friend, I would have recommended therapy. For you, not me. But there I was, watching Camden blow out 9 candles on a dinosaur cake while surrounded by his school friends. His mom, his grandmother Paulina, my mom Lorraine, and approximately 0 fathers named Heath or Ethan or whatever identity he was currently using. Camden had requested that I come specifically. According to Tegan, he'd asked, "Can my other mom come? The one who helped you when Dad lied?" Which was both heartbreaking and somehow the sweetest thing I'd ever heard. Kids have this brutal honesty that adults lose somewhere along the way. Camden didn't see me as the scorned wife or the other woman or any of the complicated labels adults would assign. He just saw someone who'd helped his mom when she needed it. Someone who'd told the truth when his dad hadn't. After the cake and presents, Camden got the Lego set he'd been wanting, paid for entirely by Tegan's thriving jewelry business. 0 child support from Heath required. I found myself sitting on the back porch with Tegan while the kids played in the yard. "You know what the weirdest part is?" Tegan said, watching Camden chase his friends around with a foam sword. "I don't miss him. I thought I would. 9 years with someone, you expect to feel something, but mostly I just feel relieved." "Same," I admitted. "It's like finding out the foundation of your house was made of cardboard. Scary at first, but once you rebuild with actual concrete, so much better." "Poetic," she smiled. "Also, speaking of houses, want to see the master bedroom?" I finally finished decorating it. I followed her inside. The bedroom was stunning. Sage green walls, plants everywhere, a reading nook by the window, and on the wall, a framed quote in elegant script. "She believed the lies until she didn't. Then she burned the whole thing down and built something better." "Did you make that?" I asked. "Wrote it myself. Thinking about putting it on jewelry. Maybe motivational pendants for women going through separations and divorces. You'd make a fortune." "That's the plan." We stood there. 2 women who'd been betrayed by the same man but refused to let it define us. "Can I ask you something?" Tegan said quietly. "Do you ever wonder what was real? With him, I mean. Were any of the good moments actually real, or was it all just performance?" I thought about that. I think some of it was real. The problem is figuring out which parts. And honestly, I've stopped trying, because even if some moments were genuine, they were built on a foundation of lies, and that poisons everything retroactively. "Yeah," she said softly. "Yeah, that makes sense." Through the window, we could see Camden teaching one of his friends how to do a cartwheel, failing spectacularly. Laughing anyway. "That kid is going to be okay," I said. "Better than okay," Tegan corrected. "Because he's learning early that actions matter more than words, that character matters more than charm, and that his mom doesn't need a man to build a good life. She just needs determination and a really good attorney." I laughed. "Vivian is excellent. Worth every penny. She worked on contingency and took her fee from my settlement and your separation agreement. Best investment we never had to pay up front." We clinked our lemonade glasses together. Later that evening, after I'd driven back to Charlotte, I sat in my house, legally mine, secured through the separation agreement, and thought about everything that had happened. A year ago, I thought I knew my life, thought I knew my marriage, thought I understood who my husband was and what our future looked like. I was wrong about all of it. But here's what I learned. Sometimes the worst thing that can happen to you is actually the best thing in disguise. Getting your entire life blown up forces you to rebuild it intentionally instead of just accepting what you've been given. The people you think you know the best can be the ones hiding the most. Trust actions, not words. And if someone's actions don't match their words consistently, believe the actions. Women supporting women is more powerful than any revenge plot. Tegan and I could have fought each other. Instead, we joined forces and took down the man who'd wronged us both. That's not weakness. That's strategy. Your mother randomly reconnecting with old friends on Facebook can literally change your entire life. So maybe check in with your mom more often. She might accidentally save you from a con artist. And finally, corporate fraud leaves a paper trail. If your husband is living a double life, there's documentation somewhere. Find it. Photograph it. Send it to HR. I grabbed my phone and texted Tegan, "Thanks for inviting me today. Camden's a great kid." She replied immediately, "Thanks for coming. He wanted to show you his Lego set. Also, Paulina and your mom are planning a weekend trip to Myrtle Beach next month. Our mothers are having more fun with this than we are." I smiled. They've earned it. They solved the mystery. True. Without them, we'd still be married to the same man and not even know it. Horrifying thought. Truly. I set down my phone and looked around my living room. New furniture, new paint on the walls, new artwork that I'd chosen myself without consulting anyone. A space that was entirely mine. For 9 years, I'd shared my life with someone who was simultaneously sharing his life with someone else. Now I shared my space with no one, and it felt infinitely less lonely. Because being alone is temporary. Being with someone who makes you feel alone while you're together, that's the real loneliness. And I was done with that. My phone buzzed one more time. Tegan. By the way, Camden asked if you're coming to Thanksgiving. Apparently you're invited. Fair warning. Paulina makes aggressive amounts of sweet potato casserole and will force you to take home leftovers. I typed back, I'm in. Tell Camden I'll bring the pie. I hit send and leaned back on my couch. My beautiful, legally mine, no longer shared with a liar couch. Turns out, losing a husband and gaining a friend plus a bonus honorary nephew and 2 mothers who solve crimes together is actually a pretty good trade. Not the ending I expected, but somehow it's the one I deserved.